Today we are talking about the research process that I go through every time I start to work on a new ancestor. It's a simplified version. There is a quick handout for this. It's one page. It's a checklist. If you want that, go check it out in the show notes. If you're a member, that'll be part of your membership, either on Patreon, the channel membership, the Academy, all of those folks. If you're at the handout level, you'll get that. Let's jump into it. Okay, so the first thing on the checklist is to identify your target ancestor. And by the way, I'll probably be popping back and forth through this. So if you want to take notes and you don't want to get the handout, that's fine. Just know the handout helps support the channel and helps me bring these videos to you. So the first one is to identify your target ancestor. Well, let me tell you a quick little backstory here as soon as I can bring this up. So here I am on Ancestry. This is where I keep my go-to tree. This is the way I research. Now, I've been doing genealogy both as a professional and personally for decades. Decades, since I was a teenager, okay? So over the years, you know how we all do this. You find stuff, you import it into your tree to save it. And my thought process was, years and years ago, I'll get back to that someday and I will prove that this document is really this ancestor, or the next generation back is the actual ancestor. Okay, so long story short, now I'm getting back to it, right? So I spent so many years doing professional research that I didn't do my own research for a long time. So here I am about several years ago, kind of about the time I started the YouTube channel, I started kind of redoing my research. So I started with my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents. You can see all little green check marks. And so along the way, I have developed this process that I have done both professionally and personally for years. I have done the same process. And so it starts with, who am I working on today? And today, this past weekend, I have been working on the parents really of Hilkiah. I've already proven all these green check marks. So all the way through here and up to here. And I'm just methodically going through the tree and working my way around. And so you may be thinking, okay, she's on her third great grandparents. Why hasn't, she's been doing this for decades. Why hasn't she done this before? And it's because this thorough research process that I do, taking the research notes, does take time. But boy, I'll tell you what, when I've got this, every time I check one of these off, I know that I have this ancestor in my family tree. And so you can see there's holes up here. If you go look on Family Search, some of these lines go back to 900, AD. So some of these lines, but I haven't proven them on Family Search. There's somebody else's research. I didn't do those. This is my research on Ancestry. I'm in control of this tree, and I absolutely know that it is right. So here I am working on Hardy Winslow, and so I was going through that process. So let me tell you, so now we've identified. So that's the first step in this checklist. So if you want to take notes, you can do that. The next thing is to review what you already have in your files. So for me, I will show you what I had in my file. Here I am in my Winslow file. Inside, I have one folder for genealogy archives that is now on the cloud, as you may have seen in the previous episode. Here I am looking for Hardy Winslow. I have these named this way so I can find things quickly. So I click into Hardy, and now I have started, as I collect things, I was doing research over the weekend, like I said. I was collecting things. I did not have any land records. I did have his probate package. So if we go in and we look at his probate package, you can see that there are a ton of records here. And actually, I only had from Ancestry one image on the ancestor profile from the probate package. Okay, but I don't want to get ahead of myself because it's easy to do when I'm doing these videos to show you what I've already done. So to go back to our checklist, we want to then take a look at reviewing the hints for your ancestor, whatever platform you're using for your go-to tree. So doing that, if we jump into Hardy, we can go through the hints. Now, I did this over the weekend, and so you can see that I accepted 15 different hints and allowed those, and I ignored 4, and almost all of them are probably family trees. And it looks like it looks like 3. I don't know what the 4th one was, but long story short, I ignore family trees. It is if I have gotten through the whole research process and I haven't found something I'm looking for, then I go look for trees. But most of the time, I don't want to have that bias from what other people think is correct. So I do the research myself. I know it may sound redundant, but sometimes I will go say, okay, what sources do they have that I don't have? But I usually go through this process first of researching all of the hints for that ancestor before I go and look at any family trees. Okay, next on the list is to make sure that we add anything that we've already found that's in our current profile. For me, it's on Ancestry, into our research notes. So I have been doing that again over the weekend. As I find stuff, I've been adding information into the research notes along with source citations. Okay. And so I also always at the top in red like to put a little note about where I left off last so that I know when I go to pick up where I left off. And I have another tip I want to show you real quick. I have started using in Chrome the groups, and here you can see I have one for genealogy research. I click on that and it automatically opens up my ancestry and my family search to where I last left off. So if you have like the county courthouse, all this different stuff in your group, and then you go and you can close the group, and when you come back to your research and open it again, it brings you right back to where you last were, which is really convenient when you, step away to go cook dinner or whatever, and you come back, or you come back 5 days later, you can hit open that group, and it automatically, bingo, opens back up exactly where you left off. So all you have to do that is click on this little tab groups and then create a new group. Next on the checklist is to review what's missing. And so this section here is the next step that I take in the research notes process. And all I do is go, okay, let's see. He lived from, let me zoom in so you can actually see this. He lived to 1872, so do I have the 1860 census? I have the 1840, 1850. Do I have 1860, 1856, 1857? These are land records. Please stand by. Keep scrolling. 1870. Okay, so if I didn't have something, then what I would do is I would insert missing record, right? So if I think that there is a record that's available, I would then just highlight that in red. Like I don't know, I'm making this up. Let's pretend it's the 1870 that I don't have. I would just put missing record. And then that way, when I go to look at my research notes at a quick glance, I can see that red popping out at me that I still need to go find that. So there's that. So the next item on the checklist is to search for what is missing. So now we've identified what is missing after going through all of the hints, right? And what you already have. And now what is missing? So now is when the research part comes in, where we're really searching for records. And so you're looking for things. I mean, the big ones are census records, probate records, land records. Those kind of things are huge, but you also want to be looking for church and tax and, residency, evidence of migrations and that kind of thing. So there's a lot that you can be thinking about. That's not, in this checklist of all the things that you should be looking for. But you can always go to Ancestry and Family Search and look at their lists of things to kind of give you some hints as to what you should be looking for. But then you want to go look for the missing records. And that's through card catalog searches, full text searches. There's all kinds of things you can do to search for those records, or just search from the Ancestors profile. Okay, so next on the list is to search on other platforms. So get off the platform. I call this getting outside the box. So whatever box you're in, if you're an Ancestry user and that's all you ever do is like, if it's not on Ancestry, I'm not finding it. Please take the time. There's a lot of free websites out there. Family Search, your national archives, your state archives, your county libraries. There's so many places that you can search. WikiTree. I can keep going, right? There's so many places that are free that you should be looking at online. If nothing else, go to Family Search because it's free and they have more records like crazy. So check those out and make sure that you get off the platform. If needed, review the hints and records of all the children for the target ancestor. Add relevant information to your research notes. So I do this if I get stuck. If there's really a conflict going on, I'm like, wait a minute, there's too many children here. What's going on? And so I will do that. Let me show you the rest of the clip I was starting to show you earlier about what I was finding. And so through my research, I then discovered 60 some pages. I think it was 61 pages in all images. And kind of through a process, I will talk about this in a future episode, but I uploaded a lot of this to ChatGPT to help me transcribe all of it. And while the transcriptions weren't perfect, I certainly was able to transcribe a lot of it, basically image by image. I went through and I corrected any transcriptions that the AI got wrong. So that was fast, which was nice. And I was able to use ChatGPT to help me write source citations for each one of them. Again, that's a video for another day. Long story short, I've been working on that. And so I have images that you saw here. There is an image that I took at the Back Creek Cemetery of his tombstone. I actually have several images of that. That's the only one that is probably the easiest to read. Then started collecting land records. So I went on the county website and started finding a ton of land records. These are not found on Family Search Full Text Search. They are not found on Ancestry. I went to the county website for Randolph County, North Carolina. They have a lot of these records online through the Registrar of Deeds. And so, yep, that was cool. So I got the probate package and some project files that I'm working on. So in the project files that I'm creating, basically I was trying to resolve an issue with the people, the children that were in a probate package versus what I found in a newspaper article from, I think it was like 1919 or something, that talks about all the children of this guy. And so I was trying to figure out if James Alston Winslow and Alston G. Winslow were the same people. It turns out they are two different people. And I have two pieces of evidence that show me that. So long story short is I did not do just research notes for Hardy G. Winslow. I did it for every child too, because I wanted to make sure that I had this conflict resolved. So these were the people in my tree. I'm still working on it. It's not finished, but I was discovering that I had a griffin in this newspaper article that's not showing up in the probate package. Why? The newspaper article says there's 12 children. I'm showing 11. I'm thinking that one of the children had died by the time the father had died. I believe that one of them died at the age of 12. So long story short, there's that. So next on the list is to look for major conflicts. As you saw in that last example, I had two guys that I thought might be one person. And before you guys comment that Alston G. Winslow might be Griffin, I don't think so. I think Griffin is the one who died at the age of 12. I'm still working on trying to figure that out. I haven't found anything yet, though. The next one is to outline and compare records for conflicts. As you can see, I outlined them in Excel. This is pretty typical of what I would do. It's just kind of, you can compare census records or various records to try and outline people or events or whatever to help you figure out what conflicts you might have. And hopefully you'll come to a resolution on that. Next, if needed, review DNA results of your ancestors. And this is something that I don't do very often. And the reason why is because DNA, I'll do it on certain projects, but DNA, if you think about it, the DNA is real. You have a third cousin out there, you have a genetic connection to them, but is their tree correct? So I just like reviewing family trees, this at this step is to me the same thing as looking at family trees. I will go and look at the DNA cousins and say, hey, do you have this person, my common ancestor, our common ancestor, in the family tree? And if so, what records do you have? Let's compare records. And at the time I go through this is the last step I do. A lot of times I have more records than what the DNA cousin matches because they're just importing stuff a lot of times from other family trees. And so they either have the same records that I've already identified or not. And so if they have sources that I haven't seen, I'm like, oh, okay, let me go contact that DNA cousin and see how close they were, because maybe they inherited some of the family artifacts. So that is how I go about with the DNA results. And then the last thing I do is and I've actually started adding this to all of my research notes, is what proof do I have for the next generation back? What records, after I've gone through all of this, I now have everything there is to find. What records show me the parents? And if there's nothing that shows me the parents, I'm at the end of the line. At some point, the paper trail runs out. I haven't hit that yet, but not on the record research process that I'm going through. Part of the reason for that is because there's so many records coming online every day, there's more to find. So sometimes if you hit the end of the line, go work on somebody else for a little while and then come back to it, because it may be that there are more records to find. Or go on a road trip, go visit the church that they, if it still exists, that they attended, and where are the records? Call the county library. Who's the local historian? What do we know about this land? You know, there's so many things that you could go chase. So that is where I am at that point, is to identify the parents of that evidence. So that's the one simple question. What evidence do you have that proves the next generation back? And we're not talking about, family trees from somebody else, right? We're talking about evidence that gives you the next generation back. Okay, there you have it. I've been actually continue to tweak on this little document, but by the time this video comes out, it will be totally finished. So you may see something slightly different. But long story short is, this is the process I go through every time, every ancestor. And when I am done, I put a little green check mark on them. As you can see here, let me scroll in. You can see a lot of these little green check marks. These are emojis. You can actually do it I think it's a right click in the suffix field. I do this just so that I know. I have my own little thing, so I know exactly what I'm done and where I'm at next. So I am still working on these two. I'm actually working on them simultaneously because I thought I was done with Hardy. So then I started working on Christiana, and then I went, wait a minute, I forgot land records. So I went back and I found a ton of land records. And so I unchecked him and put him in a work in progress for these two. And a lot of times, because they were married, there is records that apply to both of them. So I would cut and paste. Census records is a good example. During their married life, I will cut and paste them into their individual research notes. But remember, she had a life and parents before she married Hardy. So I keep separate notes on most 99% of the time. They will have separate research notes. But you know how this works. Along the way, you start finding, you can see there's other people in this already. These are unproven. They are very likely, because I wouldn't have put them there if I didn't think they were likely. But I still am working on this cluster. But what I will do is I will finish these two first before moving on to these two. And then I will move on to this group. Now, some of these are already a work in progress. This little gold box means I haven't even started the research notes yet for this guy. So while I'm confident that these, I've already got records for them. I'm confident that they're there. I just haven't done my proof process. So that's the research process. I hope you enjoyed it.